Once upon a time, in a small village, lived a small boy named Rohan. Rohan was lively and talkative teenager who loved to express his thoughts and opinions. He lived with his grandparents, who were wise and gentle souls. One summer evening, Rohan's grandfather, Grandpa, called him to the garden where they often had their evening chats. The garden was peaceful, filled with blooming flowers and soft chirping of birds. Rohan, Grandpa began, I want to tell you a story about a wise old owl. Rohan, curious as ever, settled down on the grass beside his grandfather. A story. I love stories, Grandpa. Grandpa smiled and started. Once in a dense forest, there lived an old owl. This owl was known throughout the forest for its wisdom. Every evening, animals would gather to seek advice from the owl. But there was something special about the owl. Do you know what it was? Rohan shook his hand, eyes wide with interest. The owl spoke very little. Grandpa continued, it mostly listened. While all the other animals chattered and argued, the owl observed quietly everything. When it finally spoke, its words were few but filled with wisdom. Rohan thought for a moment, but why did the owl speak so little, Grandpa? Because, said Grandpa, the owl knew that listening more and speaking less often brings greater understanding. When we are quiet, we can hear more, not just the words others say, but also the unspoken feelings behind them. It allows us to think before we speak, and our words can then have a greater impact. Grandma, who was tending to the flowers nearby, joined in. Rohan, sometimes in life, speaking less and being calm can solve so many problems. It helps you to stay focused and understand the world around you better. Rohan nodded slowly, absorbing their words. But if I have so much to say, how do I keep quiet? Grandma chuckled. It's not about never speaking, dear. It's about knowing when to speak and when to listen. Like the owl, choose your words carefully and wisely and make them count. Grandpa added, think of it as a garden. Too many words can be like weeds. They can choke the beautiful plants. But if you nurture your garden with just the right amount of care and attention, it will bloom beautifully. Rohan smiled, imagining his words as flowers in garden. I think I understand, Grandpa. I will try to be more like the wise old owl. That evening, as Rohan sat quietly watching the sunset, he felt a newfound sense of peace. He realized that there was a beauty in silence and power in listening. From that day on, Rohan began to practice being more thoughtful with his words. He found that by speaking less and listening more, he understood his friends and family better. His relationships grew stronger and he felt calmer and more focused. And just like the wise old owl, Rohan's word became treasured in his village. For when he spoke, people knew to listen. Thank you. Please do subscribe my channel and share it.